Okay, so we're going to start. Oh no, I've got the sun in my eyes. We're going to start off with a very short little yoga flow just to kind of get us moving and get us warmed up. So just start with your feet about hip width apart, and we'll just take a big stretch up, reaching up through the fingertips, and then just going onto the toes. Taking some deep breaths in and out here, and then lowering down onto the toes, and then just lowering down to touch the floor. Take a nice deep bend in your knees here so that you can feel a stretch through the hamstrings, and then we might just bring a bit of movement into there. And then leaning forward, so we're having a neutral spine and then folding forward again. And then coming back up to that position and then folding forward again. Okay, I'm just going to move forward back into the sun, and then we're going to take one foot back behind us and then just move into that as well. So forwards and back, moving into the hip, warming up all through that hip area, and then keeping the opposite hand to whichever foot is forward. So if you've got your left foot forward, keep your right hand on the ground, and we're just going to twist to the side of your bent knee, and then coming back to center, and then taking some more movement. And then we'll take that foot back and back into a down dog. So we're just going to pedal through the feet, lowering the heels down to the floor and feeling the movement in the hips. You can go from side to side. And then we can take the opposite foot back up to the front of the mat, and then moving forwards and backwards a little bit through the hip. And then again, if you've got your right foot forward, you keep your left hand on the floor, and it's the other way if you've got your left foot forward. And then we're just going to twist and open up into the chest. And keeping that knee, the front knee, focusing on bringing it over towards the opposite hand, so it's not falling out to the side. And then we'll come back, and then back into that down dog, pedaling through the feet again. And then we're just going to walk our hands back towards the feet. And then again, just coming into a neutral back position, and then folding down, and hopefully I feel a little bit more movement in the hips, or you might be able to straighten your legs a little bit more than from when you were starting. And then coming back up to that neutral position, and then down. And then we're going to come all the way up, reaching the hands up towards the ceiling, and dropping them down. And we're just going to twist from side to side, getting the energy flowing through the body. Feet quite wide apart, a little bit of bend in the knees. And breathing, and take it a little bit higher now. So take your arms a little bit higher. Hopefully you've got no one near you that you're going to knock over. And then lower back down, just so they come down to the side. And nice and slow. So slow it right down. Okay, so we've got 5 exercises today, and we're going to do 3 sets of the exercises, and we're going to do 40 seconds of each exercise. So I'm just get my time sorted. So the first exercise we're going to do is a real bouncy one, which is a single leg deadlift. If you have weights, you can use them. If you don't worry. I'm going to show you without a weight to start off with. So what we're doing, I don't want to start that yet. We're going to take our arms out to the side, and then we're going to get the weight onto the left leg, bringing the right toes onto the floor, looking around 45 degrees, And we're just going to try and straighten through the body, keeping the hips nice and level. So that's the aim of the exercise, is trying to keep the hips level, and then we're coming back up. And it's stabilizing all the way through the core. We're having to use all this core area and also the glutes, the legs, etc. If you have got a weight, you can use a weight. But if you've not done this before, I would I would practice without to start off with, because it is quite challenging. So we're just coming up. Okay, so I haven't actually started the timer yet. So if you've been going, you're going to be doing extra. So I will start now. So we're going to go on one side first of all. Ooh, if you want to take a break, you can do. Really focusing, and it makes a difference where you look as well, because if you think about it, you want to try and keep your spine neutral, because that's going to help you balance. Really focusing on nice controlled movement. If you do wobble and you fall, it's all okay. And some days you might be able to do this easier than others as well. Okay, last one. And then we're going to go on to the other side. So get ready on your right foot. So a little bit of bend in the knee and just balancing on that left toes, focusing on whichever point you want to, and you're going to kind of move your head as you do the exercise anyway. It's not going to stay still, because you're trying to keep it in line with the spine. If you need to touch down with your foot in between, then you can do as well. That helps with balance. It's a really focused exercise, and you're having to stabilize through that standing leg as well. Okay, last one. And back up to standing. Awesome. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to do is a squat, but we're just going to hold the squat. So you can use a weight again if you want to, or you can do this without. If you've got a weight, then you're just going to hold it in this position, and we're going down quite low. So we're going to start off low, sitting back. I'll just show you from the side. We've got quite a wide stance, and trying to keep that back neutral as well. So we're just looking ahead on the floor, and we're holding and breathing. We're over halfway through. If you want to come up a little bit, you can do, and then sink down again. Keep breathing. We've got 5. And then coming back up to standing. Whew, that was harder than I thought, maybe because it was with a weight. Okay, the next exercise we're going to do is back extension. This one's a little bit easier. So we're coming down onto the floor, and forehead's on the floor. And we did a similar exercise with a core the other day, but today we're just going to keep the feet on the floor. We're going to have the hands by the temples, and we're just going to lift up off the floor, up our head a few inches up off the floor. So we can start now, lifting and lowering. And again, this is helping your core strength, because, as I've said before, the core is not just the stomach, it's also all the back area. Okay, and then we're just going to hold for 10. Keep breathing and lower down. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to come onto all fours now, and we're going to do a glute exercise. So if you did have bands or something to create resistance, you could use those here, or you could use ankle weights if you wanted to, if you have them. If you don't worry about it. And we're going to just be Keeping the knees underneath the hips, the hands underneath the shoulders, so we've got everything in alignment. We're just going to take the leg out to the side and then back in. So this is really working some of the glute muscles that you might not get to usually. And we're going to do 20 seconds one side, 20 the other. So we're going up to the side, trying to keep also the whole torso nice and stable. So we're trying not to turn as we lift that leg out to the side. There's a temptation here to twist your whole body, but the movement should be coming from that glute area. Okay, and then we're going to swap sides. And also looking down at the floor, because that keeps your spine in alignment, nice and neutral. Got a few more seconds left. Okay, and release. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is we're going to come from this position up into that downward dog again. And then we're going to be bringing the knee forward. So it's a little bit like a mountain climber, but we're coming, instead of holding a plank position like we would in mountain climber, we're going back into that downward dog position. Then we get a nice stretch through the back as well, through the upper back. So we're going to start now, down dog, bringing the knee forward, back into down dog, and then bring the other knee forward. And we're going in between the elbows, and then outside the elbows, and then in between again. And then outside, so we're alternating. A few more. And last one. And release. Okay, so we're going to come back up to standing again and do our single leg deadlift. So I'm going to attempt with a weight. If you've got a dumbbell, then you can hold it like this, and you'll get the same kind of effect. You will notice if you did use a weight that your balance is going to be slightly different, and that's because of where the weight's distributed in your body. Obviously, you're using it, you've got it held in your arm, so you're going to have to make slightly different adjustments. Okay, if you're a bit wobbly, it's all good. Keeping the hips nice and level, remember, and then releasing down, and then we'll swap round to the other side. So, getting ready. I've forgotten which side I'm doing. That side. You'll have a favourite side, and you'll be wanting to use that. I've got totally confused now. So leaning forward, keeping the hips level. Nice and strong and stable if you can. And remember, you can always stop and kind of get yourself adjusted again. And releasing down. Okay, so then we're going into that squat hold again. So take the feet quite wide apart, and you can take your hands up out in front of you, lowering down, or you can have your hands down here. I find that helps me to just focus a little bit, keeping a neutral spine. Okay, and we're halfway through. So just come up a little bit and hold it and see what that feels like for a few seconds. Last few seconds, last 5. Holding and breathing, remembering to breathe. And releasing back up. And then we're going to come onto our stomachs. And we're going back into that back extension. So hands by the temples. And we're just lifting up. And try and make the movement from your back. So what happens quite often is we squeeze the glutes together. Try and make it come from that lower back area. Making sure that you're looking down on the floor. Okay, and then we're going to hold for 10. Breathing. And release down. Awesome. Okay, so then we're going into our fire hydrants again. So we're just going to go into that all fours position again. Knees under hips, hands under shoulders. And then we're lifting out to either side, left or right first. It doesn't matter, it's up to you. Trying to keep the hips nice and level. And trying to keep even pressure on the 3 points of contact that you've got on the floor as well. Okay, and then swap sides. Keeping a nice even pressure. Lifting that leg out to the side. And keeping your body nice and stable so we're not twisting. We're keeping in a fairly straight line. And release down. Okay, and then we're going to go straight into our down dog. So we go into down dog and then we're bringing the knee forward and then back, forward, back, out to the side of the elbow and then back and then in between the hands. Back. And in between. And then the last one's to the outside of the elbows. And release down. Okay, so we've got one more circuit to go. So we'll come back up to standing again, and we're doing our single leg deadlift. So either with your weight or without, it's up to you. Hands out to the side. I'm going to start on my funny side this time, so I'll start on the side I don't like. And then leaning forward. And then bringing that knee up if you can. You can always touch down with your toe if you want to. Because it is quite wobbly when you first start doing this. Nice and controlled. Keep breathing as well. Sometimes when we're trying to do an exercise like this where you have to focus, we forget to breathe. And coming back up, and then we're going to the other side. So getting yourself ready, hands out to the side or with your weight, and then leaning forward, and then back up. Leaning forward, back up. Remember those hips, keeping them level if you can, so we're trying not to twist through the body, similar to in the other exercise. It's tempting to do that. Ooh. There's a little wobble happening, it's okay. And release down. Okay, so we've got our last squat holds, which you'll be pleased to hear, I'm sure. So this time, again, nice wide stance. And we're lowering down, keeping a nice neutral spine, looking ahead. And keep breathing in this position. So breathe and hold. Just focusing on keeping that neutral spine. It's okay if your knees go forward of the toes when you're in a low squat like this. It is normal. And if you want to come up a little bit, just feel what that feels like. We've got 10 seconds here. Keep breathing and holding. And straightening back up to standing. Awesome, well done. That's a tough one. Then we're going down onto the floor, back extensions. And the hands by the temples, looking down at the floor, relaxing the glutes if you can, and lifting, and then lowering. Keeping the feet on the floor. We're about halfway, I think, so we're going to just hold and breathe. So just hold in that position. Keep breathing, stay as relaxed in the face as you can, and then we lower down. Okay, and then we're on to our fire hydrant. So we're just in that all fours position, and we're just going to take the leg out to the side for 20 on one side. Remember, keep that pressure even on all 3 points of contact that are in the floor, on the floor, and looking down as well, so that our spine is in a neutral position. Okay, we're halfway, so we're going to swap sides. Keep breathing. A few more seconds, 5. And releasing down. Okay, so we're going to go straight into that down dog now. And bringing the knee forward and then back. And then to the outside of the elbows and back. So we're coming forwards as we bring the knee forwards as well. We're bringing the torso forwards over the hands. And then to the outside elbows again. And then we'll do one more in between. So this time we're just going to hold in this position. So just hold for a few seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then release. And then we'll do the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release down into that down dog. I'm just going to turn my timer off. Back into down dog, and we just pedal out through the feet just to release, pushing those hips really high up into the sky. Feeling that movement in the hips. Just should feel good to move the body as well, especially when you first get up in the morning. It's quite a nice way to start the day. Okay, then we're going to come down onto all fours. We're going to do a little short stretch to finish with. So we'll just take the knees wide and push the hips back. And then you can move from side to side here as well. So you're feeling that in the hips. And then just stay in the central position. Rest your forehead on the floor and just relax here for a few seconds. You can close your eyes if you like. It's quite a nice place to be. Okay, and then we're going to do a bit of a shoulder stretch here. So on all fours again. And then just take your left hand out in front a little way. And your right hand's going to thread through this gap that you've got there, and we're going to lower down onto that shoulder and try and relax there. I know we've not been swimming, we've not been doing maybe as much upper body work as usual, but we still do tend to hold tension in our shoulders, especially if you're working at a desk or sitting. That can happen. And even on the bike, sometimes we hold that. Okay, so coming back up to all fours, and then we'll take the right hand forward and thread the left hand through. So you might find one side, you can feel it a lot more than the other. I can definitely feel it on the other side more than this side. But you can always kind of shift yourself a little bit, twist a little bit more, and you might feel more of a stretch there. Just holding and breathing. Okay. And we'll come back up to all fours, and we're going to do a quad stretch because we did that squat hold is pretty tight on the quads. So we'll lie down on our stomachs to do this one because it's always nice to lie down. And we're just going to bring our heel in, one heel, it doesn't matter which one, in towards the buttocks, and then grab hold of the ankle, if you can reach the ankle, and just squeeze the hips forward into the floor and feeling a release through that front part of the quad muscle. And use your breath to relax and release into it as well. So every time you breathe out, feel it releasing a little bit more. You might be able to squeeze your hips forward or a little bit more, or move your ankle towards your glutes a little bit more. We'll take one more deep breath in and out here. And then we'll swap sides. So taking the other ankle into the hand and squeezing the hips forward. And remember, as you breathe out, just feel that release happening. And we'll take one more deep breath in and out here. Okay, and then just pushing back up into all fours, and we're going to just swing the legs forwards, and then we'll do a hamstring stretch as well. So just bringing one foot in towards your groin area, and we're going to sit up straight, and then we're going to reach forward or lean forward with the torso here. So we're kind of trying to hinge from the hips towards that foot. So for me, I can feel a hamstring stretch here. I don't really need to go that much further. If you want a little bit of bend in your knee, you can do. Trying to bring the toes towards you here. You might be able to grab hold of your calf or even your feet if you're flexible. But if we're thinking about leaning forward from these hips here, so we're not collapsing into this, we're using the core to help us to release in the hamstring here. We'll take another deep breath in and out here. I can't see much because I've got the sun right in my eyes. And then we're going to swap over. So I quite often avoid this stretch because it's not so nice, but it's a really good one to do, especially if you are tight in the hamstring. So we just you might start in one position and then be able to move into it a little bit more as we carry on, or as we release and breathe into it. So we're pushing from the back, keeping a nice neutral spine, and also bringing the toes towards us. You might be able to grab hold of your calf or ankle. You might find that one side is completely different to the other. You can't go as far on one side. Okay, we're going to take 2 more deep breaths here. Trying to release a little bit more with every out breath. And then just crossing the ankles. And I hope you enjoyed this morning and it set you up for a good day. Have a good day, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.